What do we do now? If people read this book and they say, okay, Douglas, I think you really have made some great points here. What is the next step?
I think we need to stop this game, get out of this game, the privilege games, the intersectional games, all of this. We need to get out of it and get on to things that we ought to be doing. There's a really great point a friend of mine made recently, was teaching at a university, or went to speak at a university in America, and all the students were asking all these identity questions. And he was saying, why are you doing this? Your generation should be working out how we live in underwater cities, how we live on the moon. Why are you doing this? This is so unproductive. My point on top of that is, and it can't be done. It's not a winnable game. But I do think that, I think there's demoralisation and an enervation in our societies because we're engaged in a game that's unwinnable. And that's all we're being told to do. Why don't we inject things that we should be doing? I give the example with the feminism issue. Something that brilliant feminist Camille Paglia makes a point. She says, why did feminism basically park motherhood as an issue and not address it? That's a really big one. I know that, of course, men aren't meant to speak about women because what interest could one half of the species have in the other? But this isn't a small one to miss. That isn't, now of course, the moment you start that, people are, you just want to lock women in the home and make them have, no. I just think that it would be unwise to pretend that one of the most important sources of meaning in anyone's life, if not the most important, is some bureaucratic technicality we'll get onto at some point in the future to address. I'd much rather that we were able to have the discussion about motherhood. And I know from many friends the extent to which not having had that discussion has made life at a certain point unnecessarily harder than it should have been.
And on that same note, are there discussions you think we can be having that are productive in the trans world and in the race world and in the gay worlds?
Yeah, and I think one point of, because the point of the book is in some ways to lead people out of this. But one thing I say is, like, where there is a plausible problem, a recognizable problem, why don't we agree on that and address that problem? Like, maybe it's incarceration rates, for instance. Right, let's address that problem. But not, let's say that all the races have historically been against each other. Those people have always been against these people, and that's why we need to get these people against them. No. Locate the things that are unjust, unfair, and why don't we unite in trying to solve some of those? But nobody will agree to solve one of those if they think that after that your desire is to destroy X race of people or humiliate them. Like, we could have a much more fruitful discussion about what sexual norms should be, what dating norms should be, if there wasn't a fear that really some people, not all, but some people want that as the first step to vengeance. That you can't do it if that's the case.